Today we're looking at the blues, and specifically blues in the key of E, and some very common motifs, or you might call them riffs, you might call them ostinatos, you might call them lines. What I mean by that is like this. You get the idea, right? And we're going to look at a few of those and how they're expressed in different regions of the fretboard and how to identify them. Okay, well, let's start with the one I just played. What we have here, we're in the key of E. And if I were to just play an arpeggio of the E7 chord, I'd have the E, the G sharp, the B, and the D, right? And that's the arpeggio, just a 4-note arpeggio of the E7 chord. But I can also use a sixth, which is very common to use, and that would be right there. That's the sixth. And if I count through the Mixolydian mode, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So watch for and listen for that 6 and that 7. So each one of these ostinatos or riffs is really spelling out the chord of the moment, right? I mean, this is, you know, that kind of stuff all does the same thing. It comes from the blues, and there's 100 different examples. Okay, so let's just take a look at what happens with this line in a blues. Always just going to that 6, right? Now we just played, we just discovered one thing, and that is that each one of those lines is 1 measure long. And so if we're looking at a blues here, let's just play that along with a backing track. So I go once through that line in each case for each measure. B. Okay, and so on. So it's a 1 measure long motif. So I play the motif 12 times, and in each case I'm playing the arpeggio of the chord of the moment. In this case, a 6th arpeggio. Now, if I could move that up the fretboard. It's a good exercise. You know, we could take it up an octave. All of these, you know, exercises. Just challenge yourself and move it around the fretboard, so you know where those sixths are and where those short form arpeggios are. Okay, now if I take this line and add a 7th, as you can hear, I think, 1 pass through that line, 7th, 1 pass gives me 2 measures. So it's 2 measures long. And then, so I get to play that twice over the E7 chord. No longer 4 times. It's become a 2 measure figure. And then I get to play it once over the A7, once over the E7. And then here, because I'm only playing 1 measure each time at the end of this blues, I have to take that figure down by a measure. So I half it. I'll play that for you, give you an idea. Half, half, half. Turn around. Okay. So that's another nice line, right? And we've got those two colors, the flat 7 and the 6 within that line. The first line was just a measure long. The second line using the 7th was 2 measures long. And again, I invite you to take that up the fretboard. And then when you take it up the fretboard, this is a really good idea to do, because if you want to play in different keys, right? And always have the mode of the moment underneath your fingers. So when I'm playing here, it really does help. So the mode would be an E mixolydian. An E mixolydian is like a major scale with a flat 7, right? And that's where my E7 chord comes from. The same thing goes for the A7. There's my flat 7, right? And it's clearly spelled out with that arpeggio. Right? Okay, so that's a good idea. Don't, generally speaking, try not to separate your chord playing from your lines, from your single note lines. Because what you want to do is define the chords and know where those colorful sounds are. Like the root isn't all that colorful, but the 9th and the 13th and the 6th and the flat 7 are colors. Okay. Now maybe we'll do another line. Yeah. Here. So we were talking about the 6th and the 7. This is probably the most common shuffle line on the planet. Okay, and so what I'm doing here is I've got like a power chord on the bottom, and then I've got the 6th of the mixolydian mode. Okay, and that's so common I won't even play it against the track. Of course, it goes up to the A, and it also goes up to the B. Bit of a stretch, A, and then E. Right, now I can take that up an octave. Right, A and B. Okay, that's good exercise. That's something that you should know. Now I can add the 7th to that. There's the 7th, and that's just a 1 measure long figure. And E, and B's coming up, and B. I can't stretch to the 7th. Right. So that's a really handy line that you should have underneath your fingers, and you should know. Again, I'm just calling it an ostinato or a motif, like a repeated figure. I think I'm going to just step into something else here. So what's actually happening harmonically when you're doing this is not just a sixth to a flat 7, but really what you're doing is going from an E so you're doing a first inversion of an A chord. Okay, same deal. And this brings me to, this is a really cool line. Because the E chord and the A chord both have an E note in common, the root of the key, you can pedal that down here. And you can do the same thing on the A chord. Pedaling that A. All right, and back to the E. You could do it on the B, but it's going to be more difficult to pedal. Right. It would be nice if you could, but if your bass player is pedaling that B, that gives you a nice line. And that's a really common one. Okay, and maybe for the last one, from the root to the octave, 7th to the 5th. And we jump up an octave, a 4th. And so on. And now take that up an octave. And the same pattern, if you will. Right. It's, that line is more commonly played in the key of A, but that's, once you start spreading, playing in, learning these things in the key of E, it'll be that much easier to play them in the key of A, to play them in the key of G, play them in the key of B flat. It doesn't matter. And again, always recognize what you're doing. Root at the octave, flat 7 and 5. Right? Nice simple line. There's lots of variations on that line that are effective. Okay, and make sure that you as well try to integrate chords with these lines that you're doing, and you might want to look at the last video I just shot, which was about chord voicings in different positions with different colors, and how to integrate those with lines. And you can also integrate those with these motifs. So I would suggest that. And I hope you got something out of this video. This stuff you should be able to play like easily, and it's really valuable in a lot of different ways from a pedagogic perspective. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for stopping by. I hope this was a help for you. If it was, if you learned something, like and subscribe. I'll leave this backing track in the description so you can link to it and use it yourself. Thanks to Guitar Improvisation guys for giving this to us to use. So see you soon. Thanks for dropping by.